Welcome to Brutally Honest Talk Radio, where you will learn about an issue minus the BS. We don't always say what you want to hear, but what you need to hear about the issues of the day. Here's your host, Inger, along with Elmo, with his political insight and commentary.
Welcome to Brutally Honest Talk Radio. I'm Inger, your host, and I have with me Elmo with his political insight and commentary. How are you doing, Elmo?
I'm doing good, thank you. Hope you had a good and safe holiday. We're coming back right after the 4th of July on this episode.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. It was a nice break
Yeah.
with everything that's been going on this year.
Yeah, see a few alternative flags, but there's only one American flag. It's not red, white, and black. It's not upside down. It's not, the 51st state of the union, the state of oppression.
Right.
And you see all these creative T-shirts and stuff going on. Yeah, it's good. It's good. And we always encourage people just visit another country for a couple of months if you have a negative opinion about United States. And it doesn't have to be a third world country.
Right.
You know,
Right.
it doesn't have to be. And you go over there, things that we take for granted we don't even think about. That
Mhm.
we have so much quick access to because of the high speed freeway of capitalism. How we're able to get anything there's a demand for, there's going to be a path paved for that.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's true. That is very true. We will
And I
get-
know that I've said, like, if you don't like the country, if you have a lot of complaints about it, if you dislike it more than you like it, then you should leave. Well, I've kind of done that myself with cities.
Mhm.
And the city that I'm from, I can't say this is bad for anybody else, although a lot of other people I know have left, but it wasn't good for me. It wasn't a good place for me. And the only thing that I had going for myself, or the only positive thing that I could think of, was when I was in college.
Okay.
And I said, this is the only thing in this city that is good for me, or that I have any connection to, or is worth staying here. So, it wasn't going very well. I'm very ambitious though, and I have a low tolerance for people that are not professional, or they don't seem to be motivated, or I just feel like people should be pushing and moving forward. And so anyway, I left. I
Mhm.
left. I got out because I didn't want to stay there and be complaining, and other people have to listen to that. And so it's the same thing. If you think this is a national problem or a federal problem, and there's no city that you could live in where you can have a good life, then what is the point? Like, what is stopping you, from
Mhm.
staying here?
Exactly. Why are you here? It's according to them, there is nothing good here. There's nothing good for them here. They can't
Right,
make it here, so go someplace where you can. I mean, no one's holding you back. No one's stopping anything.
right, right.
No, can't control them. So hey, go ahead and go.
We'll do a quick rundown on some things that we're going to talk about tonight, including the fair tax, Kaepernick's TV show, asking a question, is COVID, not Kaepernick asking, this is something else. Us asking the question, is COVID-19 unavoidable? And then we'll just hit some other quick things, including ridiculousness. So,
Okay. There's
so,
plenty of that to go around.
oh yeah, never a shortage. Never. So, we started talking about fair tax at the end of the last episode,
Mhm.
and just to recap that, you want to hit two or three features of it?
Sure. I'll just hit the highlights real quick.
Mhm.
According to the fair tax proponents, the person you will receive all of your paycheck. There won't be things like FICA or Social Security tax or that sort of thing coming out of your paycheck. You'll get the gross amount, and I don't think many people pay attention to the gross amount. They only see the net amount after everything is taken out. So with the fair tax, you will see the gross amount. So what you earn is what you'll get. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
Second thing is if it should go through, it's more of a consumption tax. So people will pay a tax on everything that they buy. Everyone will pay a tax on everything they buy. I think there was some conversation that, drug dealers don't pay taxes. I don't understand all of that, but there was some conversation that everybody would now pay taxes. Another feature of it was that when you do your tax return, it'll basically be a one pager or a postcard. Basically, you can do it on a postcard, and that would take care of that because that is, because it will be so simple. And so it would be that. And there was one more thought that I had about, last but not least, it would take the price of things down because as it stands now, there's a built-in price into every product and service that we have to go to the government, IRS, that sort of thing, that would take the price down of everything probably by about 20%.
Wow.
Those were the highlights. Those were the features that were of the fair tax.
I can hear the three colonial soldiers coming up over the hill, the drummer and the guy with the fife. That sounds like a great country.
There
Yeah,
you
let's
go.
do that.
What an
Yeah,
awesome
that's great.
place.
And one of the reasons that the country or the government may be pushing back on this is because the segment of the government which is the IRS, they would have to be condensed. They would have to get smaller because their job would not be as entailed
Right.
without having to do anything with filing and managing money that was sent to them every week. Yeah, I guess every week.
Yeah.
Is Friday is the main payday. Some people get paid the 15th or the 30th, but yeah, every Friday, the vast majority of people are getting paid, whether you're in this week or next week. So
Exactly.
reducing government,
Yeah.
which is a conservative thing, and they would not like that. Yeah.
True. True. And I say the Congress people, because I think the way it stands now,
Yeah.
they can manipulate the tax code because it's so complex.
Right. Right.
So
Well, a thought that I had about the fair tax, and it's kind of in the same category what you said about the drug dealers not paying. Any illegal immigrants that are in America that are getting paid cash,
yes.
all right, the
Mhm.
the money that they may send back home or send out of the country, or maybe they take it themselves, and then
Mhm.
once it gets to their country of origin or their native land, then they have it converted. But so that money that they have taken, that cash, there's not any tax paid on that to the US government.
Right.
Is that so much bigger and better that the scenario that I described would really be a small thing, or not anything that would tip the scale or really impact the economy?
Well, for one, I mean, at least everyone would be paying their fair share, if you will. So no
Yeah.
one getting away with anything. So that would be good.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, because right now it's not fair with it's something like everybody making over or the people that make over 100 grand paying 80% of the whole country's taxes, the
Yes.
federal taxes.
Hmm.
If they really wanted to be fair, then everyone paid the same percentage. And also when you work overtime, your tax rate doesn't go up. You
Right.
know, you're looking at your check, you're doing the math. You're like, wait a minute, I worked 45 hours this week, but it doesn't seem like that much more than when I work 40 hours because the
Right.
tax rate is, I don't. I don't understand the reasoning behind that. A website dedicated to fair tax, and they've been compiling like a petition over the years for
Yeah.
people that want to sign up or put their name down and say, I'm for this, I'm endorsing this. And if that number gets to a certain height,
Hmm.
a certain level,
Yeah.
then that's something that Trump could use and say, look, we should make this true. It's half the country, most of the country is wanting this. And he's not trying to get paid from the government. He turned
Right.
down a paycheck.
He
So
continually turns down a paycheck.
it really isn't going to affect him. It's just it may get him votes, but
That's true.
one of his advisors should push him to talk about that. I don't believe that Biden would ever bring it up.
I don't think he would. He would bring it up in the sense that again, the what is it, the millionaires and billionaires, they would go there with that, and they'd say, oh, they would just end up taking more money from the little guy, blah blah blah. So
Yeah,
that's how
which
that would be spun by
when
Biden.
actually they would you said this on the last time, they would have more money to spend. Now I can hire more people,
Hmm.
and in their from their earnings in their private life, just pushing and circulating more money into the economy. But when people are scared, it's like it drowns out the logic, drowns out and blocks out everything else, and they can't see past that.
That is true. That is very true. And they're scared. Yeah, they'll be scared. It's the unknown that they fear.
Right, and that's why I said let's try it for 6 months or a year. And honestly, there may be two or three things that come out of it that we would never know unless we did try it in the real world.
Right.
So, before you have, when I start a race or if I'm taking a long trip, I want to know my destination before I begin.
Right.
You know, I don't want to get out there, get halfway out there, and then just to get my mind right, just to get in the
Right.
state of mind for what I'm doing and where I'm going. So it's
Yeah.
like before we begin, let's agree. All right, we're gonna try this for 6 months or a year, or they can make it fiscal from April 17th to April 17th,
Yes.
and do it like that. So
Exactly. And once it started, it wouldn't be able to stop.
yes, it would be a great, wonderful snowball into a nice big donut that
Right.
people wouldn't want to go away. Some TV developers or producers, they're in talks with Kaepernick to do a TV show
Mm. Oh, on his life or something, or a net.
on during the time he was in high school
Oh, okay. It
before he
kept.
graduated, went to the NFL. And the purpose of this show is supposed to be to show that he was a social justice warrior back then. He was fighting for rights and fighting for justice and doing things for, I don't know, maybe the black man, maybe just for people in general. I don't know. But so they'll get an actor, a teenager to play him when he was in high school.
Did he play
And
football in high school?
I, I really don't know.
Oh. It's like,
But he doesn't have time for football now. So if he was such an activist then, yeah, football would have gotten in the way. You
right. He wouldn't have to beg for some team to pick him up.
Yeah, maybe they looked at him in college and how he played then, and that was kind of his audition. So
Maybe so.
yeah, they're in talks for it. It's not solidified yet. I don't know what they're gonna call it. They could call it Kaepernick the Wonder Years. I don't know. You know,
We were wondering what he was doing all that time.
yeah. They'll show events that happened in the news during that time, and what his. I don't know. But That's the celebrity that he is now. That's the world that he lives in. He's more TV and advertisement and celebrity more than athlete or football player.
That's true. That is very true. Right? Maybe if he were a football player, we wouldn't be hearing so much from him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I want to be. That's what I want to be known for if I'm an athlete. You know,
Right.
the great athletes, they get trophies because of what they do on the field. You just got to make up your mind and figure out what sport you're playing and
Yes.
then be dedicated to it.
That's it. That's all it is. And
Yeah.
and don't use the sport as a stepping stone for something else. And that's what it seems that a lot of them, or let's just say him specifically, is doing.
Yeah.
Using that as a stepping stone. Um, I say dance with the one that brought you to the party. So, but we'll see what happens.
Heard this clip last week. Heard some commentary by Robert Johnson, who is the head of BET,
Okay.
and he was talking about several things, including his opinion on the toppling of statues, white people getting involved in protests. You know, you can comment on it and say what you think of his remarks.
Sure.
And so to me, when I see all of this, changing names, toppling statues, firing professors because they said all lives matter, it just shows to me that white America is continually incapable of recognizing that black people have their own ideas and thought about what's in their best interest. They will not. I mean, if you want to decide on statues and you want to treat black people right, why don't you do this? Why don't you get, a group of black people together and say, before we go knock down the statue of, Ulysses Grant, or we're going to knock down the statue of this, what do you guys think? Give us the belief that you respect our opinion. You go out and do something and destroy something, fire somebody because you think it hurts us. Why don't you ask us first if it hurts us before you go and say, oh, I got to do something for the Negroes to make them feel better? Well, ask us if we want you to do that to make us feel better. Or if you ask us what will make you feel better, and we said, fine, everybody write us a check starting tomorrow, $11,000 every year for the next 30 years. That makes us feel better. You okay with that? That's what's missing in this whole thing. To me, what white people are doing with the idea that they're making us feel good is tantamount to rearranging the deck chairs on a racial Titanic. It absolutely means nothing.
All right, I'll stop it there.
Okay.
So it's about 6 minutes long, the whole thing, and I agree with most of what he was saying. And something else he mentioned, he spoke about the Confederate flag. He mentioned the Dukes of Hazzard and
Mm-hmm.
how popular a TV show that was in the 70s with blacks.
Yes.
And said there's a higher no, a higher percentage of blacks who watch the Dukes of Hazzard than whites.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a kid at the time, and maybe didn't know as much about the history as a grown person, but that was like an action comedy show. We had these guys who were rebellious, and then you had idiots like Boss Hog and what was the other dude? I want to say
Coltrane.
Roscoe, right, right. No sheriff or deputy acts like that, but it's a comedy.
It was interesting. This goes back to while that was playing, I was thinking of I think it was Hillary Care when she was first lady in Clinton's first term. It
Hmm.
goes all the way back there where liberals, and I don't care if they're black or white, doesn't matter, always think they know what's best for you. And like the guy said, he instead of asking people what they want, they're going to assume this is what is best for you. This is what I'm going to do for you, and like it. You know,
And that's one of the problems with racism or stereotypes is people not talking to each other and communicating.
absolutely.
So and racism should be dealt with on an individual basis.
Exactly.
One
Exactly.
on one, face to face, not me going to the government trying to get them to pass a law
Thank
to
you.
get somebody to feel better about me or to like me,
Exactly.
right?
That's supposed to affect everybody.
Everything we need is in our rights. If you treat everyone as the same human being, when those rights are violated, regardless of the race of the person, then they can take action. Or if they don't full well know what needs to be done, then they go talk to a lawyer.
Exactly. And even the guy, and like he said too, he's like, if you want to know what we want, ask us, and
Yeah.
then you find out no one wants the same thing, so there will not
Yeah.
be consensus. So,
Right.
and
Right.
the next thing is, why are you even trying to do it? Like, what's the agenda? That's the true.
Yeah.
What is the true agenda? So,
Yeah. And part of it is guilt. And it is a good thing that you would get if you asked 100 people, you would get at least 20 or 25 different answers about what we want. And
yes,
if anyone is going to try to represent us or speak for us, be a liaison, that person, they need to be educated in what people want.
right, exactly, exactly. And with the understanding, the next question is, okay, even if I do give you this, will it stop? And my
Yeah,
answer will be no, because now
right.
there's concession. There's been someone's conceded, so they're going to keep going and going and going. And it's not going to stop.
Right. And the last thing, one of the last things he mentioned was alluding to reparations.
Uh huh.
And an $11,000 check, continuously on a schedule with that.
Yeah.
That this would somehow cushion the blow of something I never felt, you know.
Right.
And,
Exactly.
and that's like they say, a little knowledge is dangerous. Well, a little knowledge of history is also dangerous,
Yes,
you know.
it is. It
And
truly.
and people need to learn their history. You can't just stand back from 100 yards away and look at kind of the worst synopsis of slavery and black people as slaves in 10 or 15 seconds with the most outrageous things that happen. Why not learn everything?
Yes, the good
Everything.
and the bad.
And he also mentioned in that interview about they're putting a disclaimer at the beginning of Gone with the Wind. They were talking about banning Gone with the Wind a couple of months ago.
Yeah, I thought they already pulled it off.
Yeah, but it's like, so what? Now you go to Amazon or eBay, and because banned or stopped, it's a collector's item now. People selling them for $100. Get
Right.
your last copy while you can. By
Right.
Labor Day, you ain't gonna be able to get. It was written by somebody who was born after the Civil War, and it's fiction. So all
Exactly.
the characters in there and everything,
Yeah.
and don't is really very subtle and pulled back compared to like me and my son watched 12 Years a Slave last week.
Okay.
That's a brutal movie.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So they don't need to do that. And again, it's being worried of being sued or whoever is publishing and putting out the video or who may show it on their channel, that we need to have this. I mean, listen, slavery was a bad thing, and it was mental conditioning, and people were talked down to and treated bad. I'm not surprised at all to see that. There's nothing that I can hear about or see in history from 170 years ago or 300 years ago that would really surprise me.
Right. Yeah,
You
at
know,
all, at all. And the idea that they'd have to put a disclaimer out there, it's like, what are they protecting people from? That's usually why you put a disclaimer out there.
yeah,
Well, you know, photosensitive viewing coming up, or you
right,
know,
right,
objects are closer than they appear, that sort of thing. I mean,
yeah,
it's like, what are you protecting people from by putting a disclaimer out there? I think they should feel it head on, and let them process it, let them deal with it, have the
yeah,
conversation, but don't hide anything. And
right,
honestly, I thought they'd already taken it off the air because of feelings. So
yeah.
yeah.
And we talk about statistics once in a while because it's always very interesting to see the number of people that may be doing something or believing something. The misconception of the number of unarmed blacks that are killed in America, primarily as recently as last year. I don't know who this woman is, but she was born in the 50s and she was a professor at Princeton and she's from Virginia. And she was on Prager and she was talking about misconceptions and that she talked to either her or the host talked to a young man and asked him how many unarmed blacks do you think were killed by police last year?
Hmm.
And the man who they asked, he said 1,500. Now,
Okay,
I
where
don't
did
know
he
if he
get that
was,
number from?
yeah, I don't know if he was guessing or somebody told him that, but that was a solid concrete number that he gave. Have you heard or do you know what that stat is? And if not, that's fine. And then I would just say, what would you think it is just based on everything we've seen,
Gotcha.
that number?
I don't believe the 1,500 is correct. It
You
may
are
be close.
correct. Yeah.
Okay, right,
Not
good.
even not even close.
Not even close. It's probably closer to maybe 15. And I say this across the country, if that. I've heard some places 9 across the country.
That
Um,
is correct. That is correct.
okay, it is. Okay.
Yeah.
See.
So that's in the 50 states. That's in
Wow.
the 50 states total. So let's say that there was one unarmed black person killed in 9 different states. Like no two people lived in the same state.
Yes.
You know, to spread it. If I tried to take the truth of the facts and make this a widespread problem, even if I did that, think about the fact that there would be 40 states where no unarmed black people were killed.
Right.
None. Now, police brutality, that's another story, but those people would have survived, and then you can do something about it.
Hmm.
You can do something about it. And again, it just getting beat up, that's not outrageous enough to make the national news. So sometimes we got to do a lot of digging to find those stats or people complaining about police brutality. Some of those 9 tried to wrestle the pistol away from the police officer,
Oh boy.
or they went for it when it was in the cop's holster. They went for it, trying to take it. Now, whether I'm a police officer or not, somebody's trying to take my gun from me. I'm thinking they're doing that for just one reason. I gotta factor that in. With that in mind, uh, guess what the number is of non-black races, non-black unarmed people killed in the U.S. by cops last year.
Um. Oh goodness. I'll say, and I don't know precisely what the statistic is.
That's
I'll
fine.
say 150.
Okay, so this is supposed to be everyone is not black. This is basically how they did it. So Asians, whites, Hispanics, unarmed came to 19.
Oh wow.
19 for the whole country.
Whole
Now,
country.
that number is bigger than the number of blacks
Yes, it is.
that were killed. But the media has triggers for them to even pick up a story. People need to know this. And then on another episode, we'll talk about the Black Lives Matter founders and how they admitted that they are trained Marxists.
Yes.
They admitted this, and people need to know. And that's part of the problem. If someone doesn't know or can't identify a capitalist, a Marxist, a socialist, you're not gonna know one if you're nose to nose looking them in the face.
Mm-hmm.
Like they say, if it had been a snake, it would have bit me.
Right.
Yeah. You don't know what a snake looks like. You only heard, but you never seen pictures. You
Right.
know, you could be very close to one and in danger. We need to know. We need to know what this means.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So anyway, wanted to throw that stat out. And ridiculousness, also known as conspiracy theories. Here's one that you may have heard. And man, the circle of sanity. I'm telling you, if the listener, if you could draw a circle on a paper about the size of a can of soup, that circle represents sanity. Okay, everything, all behavior that is right and in your right mind is inside of there. That means everything outside of the circle, off the paper, on the other side of the room, across the street, everything outside that circle is not sane.
Oh boy.
And so people, there's just an endlessness to what people can make up. So I've heard people say Bill Gates has a cure for the COVID-19.
Oh,
He's just waiting to come out with it. So right now, this cure is in a safe in a warehouse somewhere. And at some time in the future, 2021 or wherever, he will sell it to the highest bidder.
okay.
So, of course, because he would sell it, that would make him evil. You know, something that everyone should have and that could save someone's lives. It wouldn't just make him evil, it would make him Dr. Evil from
Right.
Austin Powers, you know.
Yeah.
And then some people that entertain that theory, you know, you can interchange Bill Gates with Trump, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because he's evil and rich, or rich, which means he's evil. So
Exactly. Yeah.
Trump,
As
no,
if you're synonymous.
him knowing nothing about science or vaccines, he's got a cure. And you know, you try to engage with people and say, well, how long has he had it? When did he develop?
Yeah.
Oh, he had it before coronavirus came out
Oh
because he
God.
knew it was coming. You know,
It's
that's one of the
just
more entertaining, you know.
wow. Where do people get these things? I mean, honestly, it's
Well,
like it's like the flat earthers. Yes, they no, the moon landing was fake. It was not
yeah,
real. The earth is flat, and there are a group of people out there that absolutely believe this. And it's like, good
yeah.
gracious.
Well, you know, when I was in high school, I heard some of the other kids say that Ronald Reagan was the biggest cocaine dealer in America.
Oh, good
That he
gracious.
was cutting coke on the desk in the Oval Office and selling it out the back door. You know,
Oh my word.
15 and 16-year-olds that are getting D's and F's, not doing their homework, they're probably not watching the news.
They
So I thought that's something you heard your parents say.
exactly.
I mean, you
Mm-hmm.
really at that age, people aren't cynical yet or corrupt. So
Yeah.
it's like, because if that's the case, we're in very bad shape. If the
Yes.
president is you know selling coke, you can't grow cocaine on American soil. So that means he's in cahoots with somebody that's bringing it in here just so that he can then redistribute it and sell it.
Well, yeah. And I would think he'd be really too busy doing other things to push
Yeah,
drugs out of the White House. It's not like it's as a matter of fact, the White House is definitely busier than most houses of families with a lot of people in them.
it's hard to keep secrets in there. Yeah.
Exactly.
With all the people coming and going and all the windows and reporters.
Yes. Good gracious. Wow.
But speaking of unrelated uh, case, and I may have told you my sister works for the police department as a dispatcher, and when I get down and I want to hear something entertaining, I just call her and she tells me stories of people that call 911 but really don't have an emergency. But yeah, it's fascinating. That's fascinating sometimes. The people that call 911. You ever heard about that guy? He called the police because somebody stole his cocaine.
Vaguely. When did this happen? Was in the
Oh,
last year?
this was in the early 2000 teens.
Okay. Okay.
This guy called the police. He said, "Hey, somebody stole my car. Y'all need to hurry up and get it back because I got a kilo in the trunk." You know what I'm saying? And they're like, I'm sorry, what's your name? What's your name? Okay,
Who are you?
all right. Look, give me your address. We're gonna send over 2 units right away. You just stay where you are." So this guy thought, I don't know, that's blindness again. All he saw was his coke and the value of it so much that he wasn't thinking enough to call the police, thinking that they were going to be on his side and help him get his drugs back.
Oh my gosh. I mean, just, oh boy. I guess he was more scared of his, what is it, cocaine supplier and all that sort of stuff than he was of the police. I mean, I
Yeah.
just, how,
Well, he should be. He should be, but now he's implicated himself. I mean, I guess if he's locked up, they're not going to be able to get to him. you know,
maybe, maybe not.
that may be the safest place for
Right.
such a debacle.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's like, really?
That's why they say truth is stranger than fiction, because there's so much that's fascinating that just happens in real life. Even on the Confederate flag, this is what I was going to say, is that I think that if people want that flag to go away and you want to arrest people or companies for waving it, flying it, and shut them down, if you want to do that, then you definitely at the same time put something in the law where if someone sets an American flag on fire, they get arrested, and there's going to be charges on them for doing that. Okay, because that's offensive to me. That's the real flag. Ever since the war ended, that is the flag of the country, and we have to have love of country.
Yes.
It's to me, it's just like the White House or the Washington Monument or something that is it's a part of the country. It's something that should be sacred, not in a religious sense or like country or government is God, but it should be respected.
Absolutely. And the number of people who died
Yes.
to make that possible out of
Right.
respect for them. But
Right.
yeah, I totally agree. I think it should be I don't know if it's felony, misdemeanor, whatever, if you do that to the flag,
Well,
honestly.
they could make it exponential, like the first time you do it, you get 30 days in jail. Second time, you get 6 months. You know,
Yeah.
third time, you get a couple of years.
Right, exactly. But you know, then you'll have coming out of the woodwork, people like the ACLU, and this is freedom of expressions,
Yeah,
free speech, all that sort of stuff. But
right.
I think I don't know. There's two sides of this. If you say you can do this but can't do, or you can say this or do this but can't do that in some instances, then again, it could be turned against you. um, and where does it stop, kind of thing. So it's kind of not a slippery slope, but there's definitely some gray area in there. You know.
Yeah, I can see how that can become a wide angle thing that encompasses a lot. Maybe they could call it a flag law
Hmm.
and say this is this is what it's going to be. This is the way that it is now. Um, there was a courthouse in Alabama that had the Ten Commandments on it. I
Yeah,
think they had to take that down, but there's been vandalism at signs and things like that, which maybe because it's actual federal property or government property that they're able to prosecute those people easier.
right. And yes, yes, and I think that's what it is. And I think they should go for it. If they can do it, they should go for it, because I don't like the pulling down of the burning of the flag. I do not like that at all, and I
Yeah,
certainly don't like the pulling down of statues. It's
and
just
we've seen enemies overseas burn flags and burn the president in effigy. You know, a pinata of Obama, Bush, or whoever it is, being clubbed. And are we any different from them? Anyone that's on the same page with them, maybe they need to go over there. And a lot of young Americans have left and gone and become a part of Al Qaeda or ISIS.
they sure have.
So okay, hey, choose your side,
That's
and
it.
and and put a uniform on so we'll know who our enemies are. That's
Exactly.
it. Mm.
Exactly. And folks, they want to make two things. One, that's the same thing ISIS did, the terrorist group, when they would
Mhm.
in places they tear down the statues. And two, people are doing these things over here and totally oblivious that they have the freedom to do these things over here. Whereas if
Yeah,
they were to go wherever this kind of thing is done, they wouldn't survive. They would be
right.
shot, they would be dead, and that would be it. So, wow. Yeah.
And then the other thing that I had was on COVID-19. It's not going to go away. It can't go away. All we can do is slow the spread.
Hmm.
And there's no way. I don't believe that. I believe that it travels through different communities
Hmm.
faster or slower, or more widespread or less widespread, depending on the number of people in that community that have it.
Okay.
So, I'm just thinking, and I'm asking the question: is it inevitable? Is it unavoidable to get the COVID, that everyone is going to eventually get it, unless they're not gonna live in 5 years and not gonna still be here? Is it inevitable? And if so, like for me myself, is it better for me to get this in my early 50s than for me to get it when I'm 70 years old? Because
Hmm.
the way they're talking, it's going to still be around.
Okay.
And then once I do get it, would be kind of more like the chicken pox, where I get it once and won't get it again. I never heard of anyone getting it twice. Or will my immunity, will it be so strong after coming out of it that I'm actually safer. I'm safer and stronger.
Yeah. I guess you asked that question. I'd ask the question back. What do you do for the flu? Is it some people get it all the time, or they get the vaccine every
Yeah,
year, or some people haven't gotten it at all.
yeah.
And what type of, I know it's specific with COVID, what type of comorbidities do you have, or what is it, immunosuppressive illnesses, that sort of thing? Are
Yeah,
you
yeah.
living with, I guess, should you get the, I don't, I just don't know. And there's so many ways people talking to herd immunity where like everybody's going to get it, or a large percentage of the population is going to get it, and thereby start to build up immunity, and however
Yeah.
that works. You know, um, everybody, and then again, everybody might not get it. Just because some people have it, there's still a lot of people that don't.
Well, I would say if someone or the people that will not get it, it will be because their city or their area really beat it or got it so low that and you really can't do this without immunity because it came into Georgia. Um, the first case that I knew of or that I heard of was in Atlanta with two people in the same house, one of them being 15 years old. And so you can't have that happen unless people are getting it and becoming immune to it. Uh,
Yes.
because they're talking like it's just prolonging the disease by us wearing the masks and having the distance between us when we go out and uh, washing our hands and eating kimchi and uh, vitamin D and everything else that would help. That would help is just postponing it rather. With the flu, I do get a shot every year. I got it since I had bronchitis and influenza 5 or 6 years ago that scared me so bad that I started taking it. So we don't have anything on that level yet. If that were to happen, that would be a huge game changer.
Mhm.
That would be a huge thing, uh, in a good way.
Yeah.
But I'm just thinking because you can be 70 years old and not have any health conditions,
Hmm.
not have anything bad like obesity or diabetes or any other, I mean, AIDS, cancer, anything else that you were, if you had it at the time when you contracted COVID, it would really decrease your chances of survival.
Yeah.
But it's like being over 70 or being an elderly person is like an additional health condition in itself because even though a person may not have any health issues or have any diseases, everything is weaker. Everything is a
Yes.
little weaker than it would be in a middle-aged person or a young person.
That's true. That's true.
And so if that's the case, if it is unavoidable, maybe I need to build up my immunity real strong, and then find someone that I know is infected and just give them a great big hug and jump into this thing headlong.
Right.
You know,
Over with.
there's more pieces to the puzzle being added because the picture isn't finished yet. So a year from now, we'll know a lot. We'll have gone through another winter, and we'll have lived through the existence of this thing coming into the country. Because one thing is for sure, knowing me, I'm not gonna live like this the rest of my life.
Hmm.
I've tasted too much freedom and too much joy of life to
Yeah.
do that.
Absolutely.
You
Absolutely.
know, I mean, it's heartbreaking. I've seen 5 and 6 year old children playing outside with masks on, and they haven't been here that long. They don't know they don't know much or seen much better than that. It's like just another article of clothing to them, and they're able to go out and play and not really think about it. But no one ever thought that children would be playing that way, or that would be a normal thing, you know?
Yes. And 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 that fear is passed down from the parents to the kids.
Oh yeah, right.
And it's
Yeah, that's a good point. That's not in a public place or a business. This is on their front lawn or in the street where they live. And you shouldn't have to do that at home, you
no,
know?
not at all. And outside, there's a friend that I have that will not wear the mask because of respiratory issues. If you're constantly breathing in the same bad air instead of getting in fresh air to,
Yeah.
do whatever needs to be done, then it's going to make things worse. It's going to cause another issue.
It
And
does inhibit your breathing somewhat. And I'm wondering if maybe I should get one of those masks with a filter on it, that it filters anything bad from coming in, kind of like a gas mask,
right,
but where you can still get your oxygen. That's the thing.
right,
It
you can still,
filtered oxygen out of the air. But
yeah,
I guess I have to test it, see if it makes a difference. I should be able to feel the difference. You know what I mean?
right.
Yeah.
See if it still works. But yeah, it's just it's interesting. Um,
Mm.
yeah, like I said, the kid is going to be. They just got here. They're going to think that's normal, and they won't question, unfortunately, or maybe they will, but they likely won't. Well, we did it when I was a kid. Well, if this sort of thing should come up again,
Right. Yeah. Childhood memories.
right? Oh boy, well we've got about 4.5 minutes to go on this episode. Are there any closing thoughts?
There's so much information, and just want to encourage people, go looking for facts. Go look for information so that you can know for yourself the true state of how things are or how something is. That's the
Absolutely.
thing. You have to be sitting back and watching TV, whether CNN, Fox, or C-SPAN, or whatever it is kind of a spoon-fed way of getting information. But take initiative and go searching. You just have to search for the truth.
Yes. Yes, exactly. And when they do go and find and search out information, that they're careful of the sources. Always go
Hmm.
for primary source information, primary source sites get it from
Yeah,
the horse's mouth.
a perfect example. I found something that I did a search on. I don't even remember what it was because I just put it out of my mind or out of my memory. But I found something. I said, "Oh, this is interesting. I didn't know this." This is from a Google search, and this is one of the first ones that came up. And
Mhm.
so it took me to a site, and I'm reading this information, and then I glanced at the top, and it said the New York Post, and I said, "Okay, I'm closing this right now because of their reputation. I may as well been on the Disney website, reading the story of an upcoming movie.
Wow.
They've had so much, misinformation out there that I can't trust them. Their reputation is marred because of it.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. That's a shame. Because all we ask them to do is report the news, report it accurately without any bias, and give us all the facts, and that can't even be done. Wow.
Yeah. With the Bush League media companies, they can't compete with the big ones, so they they want to get ratings and get attention, is throw out outrageous stuff, you know. And I want to say this. This will be my last thought or my last comment. Okay, looking at the media over the last few years and how many lies have been out there, it's almost like a strategy of, well, you know, if we release these 1,000 scorpions at the same time, they can't stop them all. You know, by the time they stop some of them, the others will get to people, and once they've been bitten, you can't tell them nothing else. And then people they change the focus. Like by the time they find out that it's a lie or whatever, they move on to something else. Like
Yeah.
that, it's almost like their strategy. Like let's overwhelm them with lies. They can't check them all, you know.
Mm-hmm.
When
Yes.
when really anything you hear that sounds outrageous should make you want to check it out,
Exactly.
especially if you feel it may directly affect you in any way.
Exactly. You know, it's yes. And we'll leave it
Telling
right
you,
there. We will leave it
that's
right
good.
there.
That's
That's
fine.
good. We'll leave it right there.
Thank you for listening to Brutally Honest Talk Radio. If there's a topic you'd like us to cover, reach out at brutehonestradio@gmail.com. That's BRUT, honestradio@gmail.com.
And we will talk to you next week.
Thank you, all you brutally honest listeners, for your support, and keep coming back.